So for those of you that don't know me, my name's Dan. I'm one of the owners here at Studio Blue. Tonight is Pilates Sculpt. So again, if you have light weights and heavy weights, great. If you don't, totally okay. If you have a washcloth or a Frisbee, we can use them as sliders on the wooden floor or carpeting. And if you're newer to this class, if anything doesn't feel good in your knees or your hips or your joints, you can always peel back. So I'll start everything from a little bit more of a foundational level, and then I'll build it up to more of an advanced level. So all of that said, let's get rolling. I'm going to minimize the chat. And if for some reason something happens, like my mic goes out, you can't hear me anymore, you can always chat in. And when you chat in, it'll flash orange at me, and I'll be able to see you popping up. So, all right. So let's set up the mat. You can have your weights or soup cans, whatever you have, at the top edge of your mat. You can have your washcloth there as well, or Frisbee, whatever you may be using. And then once everything's set up at the top edge of the mat, let's just start with your feet hip distance apart and parallel, arms relaxed by your side. You can shake out the hands a little bit. And then take a deep breath in through your nose. And let it out through an open mouth. And again, deep breath in through your nose. And let it out through an open mouth. On your next exhale, nod your chin and slowly start to roll down one vertebra at a time. Softening the knees, hanging out for a moment, maybe grabbing the elbows or gently grabbing the back of the legs. And as you breathe in, starting to open the side and the back of the ribs. As you breathe out, start to find that connection to your abdominals. On your next breath out, roll up one vertebra at a time. As you inhale, open your arms out to the side, look up. Exhale, push the walls away. Arms come down by your side, nod the chin, and again, roll down. And just softening the knees, being mindful if your hamstrings or your back muscles feel tight. Take a breath. As you exhale again, curl the tailbone, roll yourself up. Open the arms out to the side, look up. And then push the arms down by your side, and we're going to step the legs out fairly wide. So definitely wider than your shoulders. Toes turned out to 10 and 2, and we're going to come down into a sumo squat. So this initial squat, if you look at your knees, make sure that they're opening slightly so they're pointing towards your second toe and your third toe. They're not collapsing in. And that if you look at the knee as well, that it's directly over the ankle or the center of the foot. It's not going past your toes. As you exhale, we're going to rise up, take your arms up to the sky, and then as you inhale, take the hands down into your heart. So exhale to rise up, press through the legs, and then as you inhale, bring the arms in by your side. So initially, we're just going to warm up all of our joints. So our shoulders, our elbows, our hips, our knees, and our ankles. And again, if something doesn't feel good tonight, you can always sit it out or peel it back. As you straighten your legs, as you extend them, start to press through your feet. Feel your thigh muscles and your glutes turning on. Good. Last one like this. And then holding at the bottom, as you exhale, you're going to take your right arm, stretch it overhead. So your upper body is going into a side bend. Inhale back to center. And then take your left arm overhead, hips still square. Inhaling back. Press through your legs. Find that side stretch. Hips staying square, feet staying heavy. And if reaching overhead doesn't feel good tonight, you can always take your fingertips to the back of the head. It will ease any tension that you might be feeling in your shoulders or your neck. Otherwise, stay here with me. Again, if you're just tuning in, if you want some music on, you can turn your favorite tunes on, something preferably a little bit more upbeat. And just one more with that left arm reaching up and over. And then let's all meet at center. Again, checking that the knees aren't collapsing in. They're about over the centers of the feet. The shoulders are rolling back and out of the ears. Now press down through the heels, the first ball of the foot and the baby ball of the foot. And as you push down through your feet, you should feel your thighs and your butt muscles turn on. Stay facing me. I'm just going to give you a side view. So as you're down, you're making sure your back isn't overly rounded. You're also not overly arched. So find that neutral pelvis, neutral spine, still staying here. Right? Option to always come up a little bit higher if this does not feel good in your joints. Right? If it feels all right, come down a little bit lower, warming up the thighs and the glutes. And we're going to add a little bit of rotation in. So on your next exhale, we're going to rise up. Your left arm is going to reach across the body. Inhale back to center, lower down. Exhale, right arm reaches across the body. Inhale, center. So what you're looking for is a little bit of rotation and movement through your upper spine while your hips stay squared off towards me. Right? If you're hypermobile or ultra bendy, make sure your legs aren't locking. And as you press one arm through the air and rotate, imagine that you were pushing something kind of heavy, something with resistance. So you're starting to warm up your abs. Just a couple more like this. Inhaling down. Exhaling to twist. One more, ending with your left arm reaching across. And again, come back to center and just find a place where you can kind of ease into this. So you can roll the shoulders out of the ears. Maybe sink down a little bit lower. Make sure your pelvis isn't tucking under, but it's neutral. That's going to help engage your thighs and your butt muscles and your core more effectively. Maybe come down just a little bit deeper, feeling the work in your legs. And then press into those feet. Exhale, rise up, turn your toes towards me, and just roll down in space. So a wide-legged forward fold. Walk your arms over to the right. Last little stretch we'll do here before we start getting the weights. So as you're reaching over to this right side, just finding a nice side stretch, outer hip stretch. Walk the arms over through center, over to the left, hips staying square. And then back to center, bend those knees a little bit, roll yourself up. Head comes up last, make your way to the top edge of your mat. And we're gonna roll down again. This time, we're gonna come down and step back into plank. So this is our first plank of the evening. Now this might be a knees down plank. This might be a forearm plank. I want you to make it your own tonight. If you're in this full plank with your legs extended, if you shift your weight forward and back, find the centers of your feet, the centers of the balls of the feet. Lift up through your abs, open the chest, press through your arms. Inner elbows are facing one another. So your biceps and your triceps are both working on this. And I'd much rather have you be too high in the hips than too low. Couple more breaths. Crown of the head reaching forward, heels reaching back, waistline drawing in. On your next breath out, lift your hips up into a down dog. Bend the knees a little bit if your hamstrings are feeling tight tonight. Take a big breath in through the nose, and exhale through the mouth. Walk the feet forward to the top edge of the mat. Grab your smaller weights. Again, soup cans, small weights, like 2 to 4 pounds, whatever you have. And come back to your legs in that wide position in a turnout. Your arms are gonna be forward. We're gonna lower into your squat. And as you exhale, we're gonna open the arms to a T without popping the ribs. We control the arms down. Exhale to open. Inhale down. Exhale up and open. Now, can all of this be done without weights? Yup, definitely. And then make sure that you're not swinging the weights, but you're controlling them down against gravity and then back. So keep going with this. Side view, we're coming down. And as I open, right, good posture, I'm not sticking up my chest, my ribs are in, my core is active. So we're starting to stretch the chest open and starting to warm up the back of the shoulders. Nice, keep going. Now, if this is feeling okay, as we rise up, you can take your arms overhead, kind of into a Y position. Control the arms down. Exhale, lift. Ribs staying in. Inhale down. So this is the add-on. You can always stay with what we were just doing, the chest opener. But I want you to start to feel the back of the shoulders, right? Not just the top of the shoulders, but the back side of the shoulder blades and the bottom tips of the shoulder blades. Last two. And last one. Lowering everything down. Come back into that squat. Might have to adjust, make sure the knees are over the centers of the feet. Again, they're not collapsing in. Roll those shoulders open. Take a breath in. As you exhale, open the arms out to a T. Inhale, lower. Legs stay still. Exhale, open. Now, if your weight is lighter and you want more challenge, keep the arms lifted. You're going to turn and rotate your palms up, keeping the elbows a little bit bent. And you're going to turn and rotate the palms down. So the palms rotate up and they rotate down. Again, I'll do this from the side. You want to think of moving from the rotator cuff, so the deeper, smaller muscles within the shoulder joint, right? They peel back, you're staying here. Rising up, lowering down. All right, if this is okay in your neck and shoulders, you're staying here with me. Last 5. Rotating open, rotating down. A little Jane Fonda inspired. Good, last 2. And then end with your palms facing up. Allow your arms to rest, and then heel toe the feet in until the feet are about fist distance apart, and you're gonna come back into a chair pose. Make sure that you can still see your toes. So if you look down, you can see the toes, and from a side view, your shoulder down to your hip is one long line. Palms face one another, reach your arms behind you and hold. So as your arms are lifting up, I want you to feel your triceps and the back of the shoulders. If this irritates your neck, just take the arms a little lower, but keep those arms straight. Inhale, bend the arms. Exhale, push back into your triceps. Now, can all this be done standing? Definitely. Right, inhale, bend. Exhale, push. And if you're working with lighter weight or soup cans, you can still make this really effective by really focusing on the back of the arm as you push back, and then the bicep as you pull in. So you're imagining there's a little bit more load and resistance. If this feels okay, hold. The next time your arms are bent, shift your weight into your left leg. You're gonna tap your right leg back like you're going into a high lunge. Tap it forward. Stay on that left leg. Tap back with the right, tap forward. You can add the arms, reaching, bending. Reaching, bending. So I'm just on my left leg, my shoulders are open. Make sure that your knee isn't going past your toes, and it's not rolling inward. You should be starting to feel your thigh muscles and your gluteals starting to warm up. Inhale in, exhale, push. Check in with the neck, make sure it's long, the jaw is relaxed. The next time the leg reaches back, hold. You can put some weight into it. If you want more intensity through your front leg, wiggle your back foot behind you more. Make sure your knee is still over your ankle. Reach your arms forward, open the chest. Exhale, arms open to a T. Inhale down. Exhale, open. Keep the front of the ribs in. And every time that those arms pull back, I want you to feel the centers of your shoulder blades and the back of your shoulders. Keep pressing into your front foot, especially your heel, to keep that front glute engaged. Last two. Last one. Now let your arms come down. You're gonna step your back leg forward. So that back leg, I'm just on my toes, right? I'll demo it from here as well. So my back leg is bent. I'm gonna keep the toes on the ground. I'm gonna hinge forward. It's gonna feel like you're lifting your tailbone to the ground. And I'm leaning forward, keeping my left leg still straight. Weights by my side. I'm pressing into that standing leg to rise up. Inhale, hinging around my left hip joint. Pressing into that leg to come up. So again, it's gonna feel like you're lifting your tailbone just a little bit to the sky. Just make sure that you're doing it from your glutes. You're not over arcing your lower back. Keep the shoulders out of the ears. And then if you want to advance this, take your right leg behind you. It's the same movement in the left hip joint. You'll lift the back leg to slowly hinge forward. How far is only so far you can maintain your plank line, and then you rise back up, maybe tapping the toe to the floor, and then you hinge. So I'm still on that left leg. Try to relax your toes. Use the left hamstrings and gluteals to bring you up. So you want to make sure this is core work, this is leg work, it's not neck and lower back work. Last one. Rising up, switching legs. So your right leg is down. We're going to come back into that kind of that small squat or chair pose. Maybe wiggle out the hips a little bit. Elbows in by your side. Push the arms back. Curl them in. Push them back. Curl them in. Nice. And again, front view. Making sure the knees aren't collapsing in. They're in line with the second toe. Right, reaching long through the arms, long through the neck. And then if you want to add on, the next time your arms are bent, put some weight in your right leg. Tap your left leg back. Tap it forward. So before you add on the arms, take a couple taps so your body has some time to adjust. Your nervous system has a little bit of time to figure out what you're doing on this one leg. Hips are still square. You can add in the arms now, reaching, curling. Reaching, curling. Check that that front knee, that right knee, isn't rolling inward. Your waistline's drawing in. And we're kind of mimicking something we can do on the Pilates reformer called scooter. Good, last three. Also check that on your front foot, you're not overly pressing. You're not trying to hold yourself up with that first toe. The next time you reach back, hold. Your back leg is long, it's on the ground. Lift the arms a little higher. Lower the arms down, bring them slightly forward of your shoulders. Exhale, open. Inhale down. If you need more back support, walk the back leg in slightly. More leg or arm work, walk it back. Control the arms in, control them open. Try to soften the grip of the weights or soup cans in your hand. All right, keep breathing with me. Inhale down. Exhale, open. Last two. Last one. Arms and weights can come down. Roll the shoulders out of the ears. You're going to step the back leg forward. So you're still on your toes. Hips are square. We're standing tall. Core in. I'm going to hinge into my right hip joint. My right leg is still pretty straight. I'm going to press through that right foot to bring me up. So it's a hinge into the hip joint. And then I'm thinking of pulling that right sitting bone down to bring me up. Make sure your abs are still in. Shoulders are out of the ears. Staying here, or the next time you rise up, hold. Left leg can start to come back, right? belly's in. We hinge, that left leg, that back leg starts to lift. And I might just go down a little bit and rise back up. Or I might continue and just see how far I can go down. As my back leg lifts, my torso is leaning forward and rising back up. And both that initial movement and this one, it's the same principle. Learning how to hip disassociate, right? Keeping our core engaged, both the front and the back. And you might notice one side's a little shakier than the other. This is my shaky side. Last two. And have a sense that as you lean forward, those shoulder blades are still drawing just a little bit together. The next time you rise up, let's walk up to the top edge of the mat. You're gonna roll down in space. Take a nice stretch here for a moment. Step back into a plank, fingers spread wide. Legs reaching back into your style plank. So again, it can be on the knees. It can be on the forearms with your knees down or your legs extended. So lots of different options here. Find the option that works for you tonight. Press firmly into the hands, especially the outer pinky side. Press firmly into your feet. Lift up through your waistline. Lengthen through the crown of the head. And feel your shoulder blades widening and your abs lifting. As you exhale, lift the hips up. Through down dog, take a full breath. And then walk forwards. Good, roll yourself up. If you want a little water, you can feel free at any point. All right, so if you have socks on, you can use a sock, you can use a washcloth, or honestly, you don't need any of this stuff at all. You can grab your light weights as well. So I'm gonna take my left foot onto my mat, and I'm gonna take my right foot onto the cloth. My arms are just gonna be in by my side to start this. And then I'm gonna bend a bit into my left leg, like I'm coming into that same chair pose. So just notice it's not a huge bend in the leg. If I look down, I can still see my toenails. My chest is open. Hands to the heart. I'm gonna press my right leg back, and then I'm gonna slide it in. So I'm pushing the right leg back, sliding it in. Right now, you can also tap back, right? You do not need a sock. You don't need a washcloth. But if you have it, stay with me, sliding back, pulling in. Sliding back, pulling in. Arms can come down. Palms turn back. And then you can bring your arms back as you slide your leg back, control them down. So it's a push and in. Make sure that standing knee isn't falling inward. And start to feel that your inner thighs have to work here as well. Now, if you want to take it to the next level, you can slide back, hold. The arms are going to come forward. I'm going to bend a bit into my back leg, and then I'm going to rise up. So I'm really pressing into that standing leg, and then I'm going to send my right leg back as I bend into both knees. So it's a split lunge, and then I'm using my inner thighs and my standing leg to bring me in. Now, adding on, the arms can go forward. As we split lunge down, the arms come down as we come up, right? Now, of course, those first options that we went over, they are available. So split lunging like this, of bending that back leg to the ground, doesn't feel good in your hips, your knees, or your toes, don't do it tonight. Last three. If you are coming into that split lunge, start to feel your inner thighs kicking in. Nice. Last one. And then let's all meet up. We're gonna roll down in space, and we're just gonna take our weights somewhere in front of us, and I'm gonna come down to hands and knees, and I'm gonna take my washcloth, it's still underneath my right foot. So again, you wanna make sure it's on kind of a wooden surface. If you have carpet, you could use a Frisbee, or again, you don't have to use anything at all. The fingers are spread wide, knees are under the hips. I'm gonna press up into a plank, extending the back leg. And as I exhale, I'm gonna bend my back leg in, press it out. Sliding it in, pushing it out. Sliding it in, pushing it out. And again, do you need a washcloth? Nope, you can do this without. Neck is long, shoulder blades are wide. Good, trying to stop the knee right about underneath the hip. Last two, and last one. Good, bend the knees. We're gonna come up so we're facing the opposite direction. Good, so just make sure that your right foot is on your mat or a stable surface, and then your left foot can be on your frisbee or your washcloth. I'm gonna bend into both legs, roll the shoulders out of the ears. My standing leg, my right leg is gonna stay nice and still. I'm gonna slide my left leg back. I'm gonna slide it in. Right, so hands can come to the chest for this initial one. Pressing left leg back, sliding it back, pulling it in. Now again, you can just tap back and tap forward, A-okay. Make sure your standing knee isn't falling inward. The shoulders are opening out of the ears. You can always add reaching the arms back, pulling them forward. Reaching up and back, pulling forward. Or next time you reach your left leg back, hold. Arms start to come down, back leg bends. Good, and I'm gonna push into my front leg, scissor the inner thighs together to stand tall. And then you can switch the arms. The arms can go forward as you come into that split lunge, making sure that back knee is just behind the hip, pulling up, inhaling back. Pulling up, inhaling back. All right, those first options are available. One leg, one hip will typically feel different than the other. Again, make sure your front foot, we're not collapsing inward. You feel the weight even across all of the toes, not just the first one. And your core is in. Last two. For any of these progressions that you might be doing, next time you rise up, hold at the top, roll down. Weights can come off to the side, come down onto your hands and your knees. Now that same leg, that left foot is on the washcloth, fingers are spread. We can come up into our plank, chest is open. I'm exhaling, left leg in, inhaling it out. If you notice, my spine and my hips, my shoulders, none of that should be moving. And you want to think every time you pull this leg in, you're drawing in through your abs. Now, can this be done hands and knees? My right knee is on the ground. I'm still sliding my left leg in. I'm still working the stability around my hips and my spine. Right, so either progression, A-okay. Last three, pressing through the arms, lifting through the waistline two. Last one, and then bend in. We'll come up to standing and we can settle our washcloth off to the side. Grab your weights one last time, right? And turn to face one edge of your mat. Feet are gonna be about fist distance apart. We're coming down into that chair pose, that small squat. Arms come forward. As I exhale, I'm gonna take my right leg and reach it out to the side. I'm gonna tap it in. So right leg reaches, my left leg doesn't do anything, it just stays still. I bring it in. I shouldn't say it doesn't do anything, it should be working pretty hard at this point. Exhale, reach, inhale in. Now, you can open the arms, adding the weights, pull in. Open, pull. Now, can the weights just stay at your chest? Totally, that's okay. Reaching, pulling. So this is mimicking speed skater or skater on the reformer. Making sure your ribs are just softly drawing down. Last 5. Shoulders are melting out of the ears. The arms can always reach back at a diagonal if that feels better in the neck. Last 1. Pull in, hold. Come back to that small squat. Rise up. Shake out the hips a little bit, and then again, send those hips back in space. Lower back is neutral. Neck is long. Weight into the right leg. The left leg taps out, pulls back. So that's a tap, pull it back. Right? The front view. Again, that left leg's reaching. It'll look opposite to me. Making sure the front standing knee isn't bowing in. Right? Option, you can always add those arms. Maybe reaching them down and pulling in if that feels better on your neck. Inhaling in, exhaling out. Good, last 5. Pull, press. Pull, press. Last 2. And last 1. Bring it all the way in, rise up, and then roll down through your spine. Take those weights somewhere off to the side. Step down into your plank. Last plank until we come onto our back. So again, you can stay here. Knees can be down, we can be on the forearms, or if we're adding on, right knee can step across to the left elbow, the foot can be on the ground, inhale back, and then left knee can cross to the right elbow, foot can be on the ground. So you're rotating your lower hips and waistline, and of course that leg can be lifted. It doesn't have to touch. The modification on this, you can be on hands and knees, alternating leg lifts from side to side. So you're working more on the stability of the core rather than the movement or the motion through the core. One more with the left leg crossing to the right elbow. Find that plank, hold it, shoulder blades wide, abs in, lift the hips, soften the knees a bit, relax the shoulders, and then take the knees all the way down to the ground, feet together, knees open, pushing back through child's pose. Let your head be heavy for a moment and take a couple deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. All right, rise up, grab some water if you need it. When you're on your back, if it feels more comfortable to have like a small towel or a pillow, you can go ahead and grab that. Otherwise, we're gonna come all the way down, knees bent, feet flat, and about tooth-this distance apart, about hip bone distance, arms resting by your side. And just take a couple of breaths here and start to feel the back of the pelvis and the back of the rib cage heavy, and just feel that there's a little bit of lightness to your lower back. As you exhale, curl the tail, press into the feet, roll the hips up. And as the hips are lifting up, feel the knees stretch forward, the arms press down. Exhale, roll down, upper spine, and middle spine, lower. Unravel the pelvis to neutral, and again, curl. Initially starting with your core, and then starting to feel the back of the hamstrings and the glutes kicking in at the top, and rolling it down. So keep going with this, keep moving. If you generally feel some knee tension on your bridges, your feet might be too close to you, you might have to walk them away. And if you generally feel lower back tension in your bridges, your feet might be too far away from you, you might have to walk them in a bit. Around a 90-degree angle is usually pretty good. You might also take the feet wider if your hips or thighs feel pretty tight. Stay with this or the add-on. We roll up, pausing at the top. So your hips, your knees, your shoulders, we're all one long line. And the ribs are pretty heavy. We're not here, we're not overly arched or popped. So your core, your obliques are on. Now put some weight in your left foot. Exhale, the right leg can float tabletop hold. Check that your hips haven't moved. Set the right foot down to the ground, put weight into it, and then left leg floats, tabletop. We inhale to lower, core is on, standing leg, that glute and hamstring is on. Inhale down, exhale up. And again, even the back of the arms are doing a little bit of work to help keep the front of the body open. Nice. Good. Ending to the left, whatever side you're on. And then both feet heavy to the ground. Take a breath in. From your pubic bone and your glutes, can you lift the hips a little higher? Not from popping the ribs or the back. And then as you roll down, take your arms up and overhead. So your arms are gonna stretch back. Pelvis opens to neutral, hands together behind the head. And then drop the chin a little towards your chest, lift the head and the chest up. And you wanna look right, somewhere over the tops of your knees. And then we lower back down, bone by bone. And again, exhale, curl. Use your breath on this one. Inhale down. Exhaling up. Now, where's your pelvis? It's gonna be fairly neutral, but if having that little bit of arc doesn't feel good tonight, it's okay to have just a little bit of an imprint. Just make sure you're not overworking your glutes or your hips. So the front or the back of the hips. And then start to feel that every time you curl up, the front of your ribs are gliding down, and that's what's lifting your head. So the head, my head is still just heavy in my hands. Now adding on to this, the next time that we lift, right leg floats tabletop, my left foot is still pushing down into the ground. Lower the head, lower the foot. Up, chest comes up through center, my right foot, it's pressing down, and then I lower. And you really want to use your breath and hear your breath a little bit. So if it's slightly audible, it's going to help engage those lower pelvic floor muscles and transversus muscles, so the lower abdominals. Now you can add on to this, the next time your right leg floats up, you can find a small twist towards that leg. Elbows still wide, we inhale down, left leg up, find that small twist and bring it down. So instead of me thinking of my elbow trying to hit my knee, I'm thinking of my armpit stretching over. So I'm trying to maintain some length in the side of my waist. One more to the left. And then come back to center. Butterfly your knees open just for a moment, keeping the ribs and the back of the pelvis heavy. Just take a breath down into your belly and into your lower hips. Let the abdominals relax for a moment. As you exhale, fold the thighs back together. Now, if for this next exercise, if you want a little bit more abdominal work, you can grab one light weight or soup can, just make sure it's not very heavy. And your right leg is gonna go to the ground with your foot flexed. The left leg floats up tabletop. My left hand is behind my head. So left leg tabletop, left hand behind the head, right arm to the sky. Now I'm gonna take my arm, reach it overhead without letting the ribs pop. So my core is still connected. I'm gonna curl up and take my right arm past my left thigh. So I'm gonna control this down, taking my arm overhead, and then I'm controlling it up. And you might find with a little bit of weight or even just the arm reaching, it gives you a little bit more leverage. So if your upper back tends to be tight, the weight in front of your body might help you get up. Right? Controlling it up, controlling it down. Now your right leg, the one on the ground, keep it lengthening away. So keep thinking of your heel heavy, it's reaching away from you. And then if you want to add on further, as we lower the head, the left leg can hover off the ground. And then I'm bending the left leg tabletop to curl. So it's an inhale, reach. So kind of similar to single leg stretch and crisscross. Exhale, curl. Inhale down. Exhale up. Inhale down. Exhale up. Two more, heavy head. Nice controlled motion. And the next time that you come down, let's pause. We can switch the weight if you have it into the other hand. So your weight is in your left hand, your left arm is up, right leg tabletop. Good, right hand behind the head. Now the leg on the ground, flex the foot. So your heel is reaching to the floor and it's reaching away from you. So we're opening up through the front of your left hip. Ribs are in. Now as we exhale, we're gonna curl up. My left arm is gonna reach past my right thigh. I'm gonna inhale down and take my arm or my weight overhead. I control it up, reaching, trying to keep some space for my chin and chest, control it down. Exhaling up and inhaling down. Now, can you peel back to anything that we did prior to this? Definitely. Can you lie here and just relax and breathe in a resting or shavasana? Totally. Exhaling up, inhaling down. Now, if you want to add on further, the next time you curl up, pause. As you lower down, you can lengthen and hover the right leg just off the ground, and then we're bending it in, curling up. Right? Check in that your left leg, the one on the ground, is still active. It's reaching not only down, but away from you. How's your breath? Good. Is the face relax? Is the jaw relax? Good. Last one. And then bring it all the way down. You can take that one weight in hand, or if you want two, at this point, you can grab both of your weights and adjust the mic, or soup cans, or again, you don't need anything here. So your arms are reaching up if you have the weights in hand, toes together and pointed, ribs heavy. So we're gonna start to allow the arms or the weights to come forward. And if you have some weight in your hand, it's gonna help curl you up. We're gonna sit tall if we have weights in hand. If you don't, you can stretch forward. Exhale, curl the tail. We're gonna roll down. Pelvis, low back, middle back, head. Maybe reaching the arms overhead. It does not have to be very far. We want the rib cage controlled. Arms lift, head and chest follow. Exhale, curl up, staying tall, or maybe stretching slightly forward, keeping the shoulders out of the ears. Restack, curl, roll back. Again, maybe the arms come overhead, shoulders out of ears, ribs heavy, and using as many breaths as you need to roll it up. A couple more like this. So staying here, or the next time that you lift, the arms, the head, and the chest lift, and right when you start to lift your shoulder blades, you can float your right leg up like you're going into teaser, and then we start to lower down. My right heel touches the floor as I've gone past my lower back, arms overhead. Arms lift, head and chest lift. Once I'm up off my shoulder blades, that's my cue for my left leg to lift, right? Arms aren't completely dropped, shoulder height. I start to lower, my left heel touches the floor after I've rolled through my lower back. So it's a principle that's used in boomerang, more of an advanced Pilates mat exercise. One more like this, just make sure you're even. And down. Good. If you have weights, bring them back to the sky, bend your arms, set them off to the side, and then hug the legs into your chest. So you're grabbing onto the back of your thighs, the feet are relaxed, and you're just gonna roll your hips slightly from side to side. Now, if rolling motion up on your pelvis or your tailbone doesn't feel good, I want you to stay on your back and do abs, so you can do your chest lifts, anything like that. If this rolling motion feels okay, nod your chin, push your legs into your hands, roll up to a balance point. So your weight is just behind your sit bones. And again, if it doesn't feel good to be on your tailbone, don't torture yourself. Roll your shoulders open. So your chest is a little lifted, lower back's just slightly rounded. Now, push your legs into your hands. Find your hamstrings and then resist back. Use your abs to roll away from your legs. Eventually the legs draw in, the head becomes heavy. And again, nod the chin, use the leverage of your legs to roll up. Adding on, you can have shins parallel to the floor, knees together, arms forward. So this is the advanced version. I'm gonna keep my legs where they are. I'm gonna curl and roll down, reaching the arms overhead. I'm gonna lift the head and the chest. I'm gonna exhale. Ooh, hard to do and talk, and rise up. And again, I'm gonna roll down. Now, can you grab the back of your thighs at any point? Definitely. Last one, rolling through. And then if you want to add on, you might straighten your legs and just hold. Wherever you're at, just holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring the feet down, butterfly the knees open, and stretch slightly forward, right? So the heels can be as close to your tailbone as it feels comfortable. You can allow your feet to open, and as you fold in, feel a nice stretch in your inner thighs and your groin. And then start to restack, letting your head come up last, and we're gonna come down on your belly. So facing any way you'd like, your hands are gonna be somewhere in front of your shoulders. Your nose can be an inch off the ground, or your forehead can be heavy. If you have a pillow, you can also use that under your forehead as well. Take the legs a little wider than hip distance. Anchor your pubic bone and lift your lower abs. Inhale, roll the shoulders back and just hover the chest up to about the base of your breastbone and lower back down. Inhale, peel up, shoulders just kind of naturally roll back, the heart lifts, and then we bring it down. So this is option 1. Option 2, start to peel up, maybe coming into full swan. So the arms lengthen. It's one long arc from your tail to your head, and then we bend the arms and come back down with control. And again, shoulders rolling back. So the first option is just upper back or thoracic extension. And the second option, the swan, is full back extension. Last one, peeling up. And bringing it down. Good. Rising up to hands and knees, rounding the spine like a cat. So just rounding out the back extensors, stretching it out. Let your shoulder blades be wide, let your head be heavy. Open the chest, slide the shoulders down, look slightly forward, and really feel like your heart is pulling down and forward. So we're trying to find, again, those upper back extensors and that upper back bend. Find the place that's in the middle. Now this one can get a little confusing to listen to, so just be mindful of this. My right knee is gonna stay where it is. I'm gonna pivot my right toes off of my mat. I'm gonna extend my left arm and my left leg. So I'm kind of essentially in like a kneeling side plank or a modified side plank. Right? Holding here. Okay? And honestly, it doesn't matter what side you're on as long as you're facing me, you can see me. Ribs are in, tummy's in. I'm gonna take that top arm overhead. I'm gonna bring it back to center. And one more time, I'm gonna take that top arm overhead, come back to center. Adding on, my top arm can reach to my foot as it lifts. My top foot is flexed. I lower the leg, I take my arm overhead. And again, rising up. So it's a kneeling side series. Okay? If the hips are not comfortable with this, you can lie on your side and do the same thing. Clams, rainbows, side leg lifts, whatever you would like. Last 3. You can also use a weight in hand if you want. 2. And on the last one, hold up. You might feel your standing glute is doing some work here as well. Take one extra breath in, and as you exhale, can you lift that top leg a little higher, and then bring it down to the ground. Take a child's pose for a moment, or a cat stretch. And then we can rise back up right? Extending the right leg and the right arm, pivoting the left toes somewhere off of your mat. So again, just checking that the bottom arm is under the shoulder, even just a teeny bit forward of it. The ribs are in. Think of the pubic bone lifting. And then just take that top arm overhead for a nice side stretch. You can look down, bring the arm back to center. And again, side bend, reaching from the outer foot to the fingers. Reaching. And then maybe adding on as your arm lifts, you can lift your leg, reach towards it, flex the top foot, lower the leg, take your top arm overhead, looking down, push into your bottom shin. So that bottom glute is definitely doing a little bit of work. And again, if this version doesn't feel good, you can lie completely on your side. Exhaling up, clams, rainbows, side leg lifts, right? Whatever feels good. Last two. And on the last one, let's stay lifted wherever you are. Take a breath in. Exhale, can you reach and lift that top leg just a little higher? And then lower it down. Take a cat stretch or child's pose. If you're in child's pose, open the knees a little bit wider, stretch the arms forward, let the head be heavy. Again, just take a couple breaths here, in through your nose and out through your mouth. Rise back up onto the hands and knees, spreading the fingers. So last thing we're gonna do for the shoulders, for the core. So the starting position on this, your hands are underneath the shoulders, the knees are under the hips. Make sure you're not here, overly arched, here, overly rounded. Your core is in. Press into the hands. Now see if you can take your left hand towards your right chest. Shoulders open, nothing's moved or rotated. Left arm down, push into it. Right hand to your chest. Inhale down. So before, when we were doing all of that oblique work, all of that twisting abdominal work, your obliques were working to move you. And now your core, your obliques, all of it's working to keep you still as you bring one hand at a time to your heart. All right, now if this feels okay, the hands are gonna be just slightly narrower than shoulder distance. The legs can walk back wider than hip distance. About shoulder distance is okay. I'm gonna press into my feet. I'm gonna push into my left arm. My right hand comes to my heart. Right hand down, left hand to my heart. Again, so this is the add-on. If you're like, oh, hell no, not today, totally okay to come back to that first option. Trying to minimize any movement in the hips, the spine, the shoulders, or the heart. And to your last side, you can take the legs down, and again, take a child's pose. Arms can stretch out, hips can push back. Take a breath down into your stomach. And then we're gonna lift the hips so they're over the knees, and the knees are about hip distance apart. Feet can still be together. I'm gonna stretch my arms forward. So it's kind of like I'm going into child's pose, but my forehead's gonna come down. Now you can use a pillow or a towel if your forehead doesn't quite make it. But I want my hips over my knees, so as my arms reach forward, my chest starts to open, my shoulders open. And I'm resisting this by pressing the heel of my hand into the ground slightly and rolling my shoulders open. And that press is really helpful if you tend to be pretty mobile or hypermobile. You're creating some resistance in your joints. Now you can walk the hands a little bit back towards you and reach the right arm underneath the left. Your right ear can come to the floor. So this is one option. Another option, we can be on the hands and knees, and I can just take my right arm a little bit underneath me if that feels better on the shoulders and the neck. Essentially, both of them are looking for upper back rotation. Right, we're gonna switch sides. So again, if you're in more of this position, left arm reaching under, palm turning up, left ear heavy to the floor. Or if you're on the hands and knees, right, it's a little bit of rotation, it's not a ton. My hips are square, my feet are heavy. Rising back up, and then I'm gonna take right knee to my right hand, kick the foot open, send the left leg back for pigeon. Arms can come down, we can square off the hips. And if pigeon doesn't feel good, figure four stretch is a great alternative. So on your back, right ankle over left thigh. You can hug that left thigh in towards you. Now, if you're in this pigeon, does your front shin have to be completely parallel to the front edge of the mat? No, it does not. You can creep it a little forward, but do not push this. All of our hip joints are shaped very differently. And the way our leg fits into our hip joint is very different. So just take a couple more breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Oh, thanks, Judith. And opening up that right outer hip. And then as you're ready to switch sides, if you're in this pigeon, you might come up through a down dog or three-legged dog. You might simply just switch, totally okay. Right leg reaches back. If you're on your back, just switch the legs. So left ankle is over the right thigh. And you can sway your hips from side to side a bit. Find the place where you feel centered. It'll typically be where you feel the greater stretch. And try to breathe into this. Notice if you're really clenching your glutes still. Or if your breath is really short and you can't breathe, you might have to just kind of ease out of it a little bit. Right, a pillow or a block underneath your hip is helpful if they're feeling pretty tight. Take 2 more full breaths, breathing down into your belly. Let your abdominals relax now. Good. And then slowly make your way back to the hands and knees. Tuck the toes, pressing through a down dog, and eventually make your way to a forward fold. So as you're hanging here, let your knees be bent, arms heavy, maybe grab the elbows. And notice if anything feels different at the end of the hour than it did in the beginning. Relax the arms. If they were holding onto the elbows, give your head a roll left and right, up and down. And then as you exhale, root through your feet, slowly, slowly start to roll up. Good, let the chest open. Head comes up last, open the arms. Right, now clasp your hands together. You're gonna press your palms up to the sky, keeping the front of the ribs in. You can kind of see my arms in the reflection of the mirror. The shoulders are soft. And then open the arms out to the side. And again, open the arms. Palms together, press your palms up. So giving the hands, the fingers, the wrists a little bit of a release. Shoulders heavy. And then take the arms down by your side and tilt your head to your right. Check that the shoulders are still square. And the left side of your neck is getting a bit of a stretch. Now to increase that, take your left arm, just reach it away from the body slightly and then kind of drop your chin and look down away from it. Turn your palm forward, maybe open that arm behind you. And let the arm come down, chin come down. Lift the head, tilt the head to the left. Yeah, maybe stretch that right arm out a bit. And you can play around with where kind of the height of your arm changes the stretch in the side of your neck. Maybe look down to the left, dropping the chin, turning the palm, stretching it back. And relaxing that arm, and then just rolling the head, a couple circles each direction. Try to keep the upper body pretty still as your head moves. Reverse your circles. And then bring your head to center. And then 2 times as you inhale, let your shoulders lift up into your ears. Exhale, let them fall. One more time, inhale up. Exhale, let them fall. We will end there this evening. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please let me know. Feel free to email me, dan@studiobluepdx.com. We love feedback. If you're itching for any kind of workshop or class, let us know. There's some Pilates with props coming up here pretty soon. And thank you so much.